let's say you're provisioning a database on Azure for whatever application it is that you're building. Clearly, you're going to want to deploy something on SQL Server, right? Wait, maybe there's some other thing that you could use, some other database out there that's also supported on Azure. Let's mash on that.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Asp.Net Monsters. I'm Dave Paquette, and today Simon Timms will be walking us through how to create other kinds of databases in Azure.
Yeah, so specifically today, I am interested in a Postgres database.
Cool.
I have somebody that wrote an application and it uses Postgres, and they want to deploy to the cloud. So here I am looking into how to deploy a Postgres database. So we can search the marketplace for that. Postgres here, and I am presented with 5 pages of possible things I might want to provision.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I can tell you that nothing on this first page is something that I want to provision. So these are all vendor supplied marketplace entries in a variety of different configurations. If you ask me, a suspiciously large number of configurations that are perhaps meant to push Azure's offering onto the second page. Let's take a look there. So going through this, nope, these are all still third-party vendors looking to supply things. Finally, here we are. Bottom of page number 3 is the Azure database for
Hey, there it
Postgres
is.
that I'm looking for. This experience right here is why I usually deploy using Terraform. So let's pop in here and we're going to provision ourselves a Postgres database. Now there are a number of different ways that you can configure this. So kind of the original way that this was set up was to use a single server. So this is still supported, but is generally not the best way of doing things anymore. So I have a Postgres database deployed like this, and it works fine, but backups are a little bit challenging with it and doesn't quite work as nicely as the flexible server over here. So this gives you a little bit more control over the server. Apparently it costs less, and it will still kind of roll over and do all of your management for you. There's also Azure Arc enabled servers, so if you're running in a regulated environment or something where IT wants to monitor things, then Azure Arc is a good solution for that. And brand new, we have Azure Cosmos DB for Postgres, which I think was just announced today as we are recording this, so we will come back and revisit that in a future episode. Although I do like the codename Citrus.
That is good. So we're not doing hyperscale
Wait,
today. We're
it's
going
not
to do that
Citrus.
another day then.
It's Citus.
Oh, Citus.
Citus? That feels like a waste. They should have used the word citrus there. It doesn't make any sense, but I guess we could just go and edit that so that we feel better about it.
Careful with the hacking.
Yeah.
You get
there
in
we
trouble
go.
for this kind of thing.
Citrus. I feel a little bit better about my reality now. Okay, so let's go
All right.
provision this flexible server here. So this gets provisioned in a slightly different way from what people are generally used to on Azure, in that we're going to provision it and scale it based on like an actual virtual machine size that it's running on. So if you come from an AWS background, this is going to feel really familiar to you. Whereas normally we would provision this based on some sort of nebulous nonsense measurement like a DTU that just goes away here, and we can go and pick a size of server here. So it's kind of 3 different tiers here. So burstable is the cheapest, and in that configuration you're going to get a certain number of IOPS, and that stuff kind of gets saved up, and then you can burst on it and use it up all at once. So if you're configuring a database for something that is busy, like 10 seconds out of every minute or something like that, this would be a really good tool or a good SKU to use. General purpose is kind of the default here that most people would end up using, so kind of normal workloads. If you're looking for something that needs a little bit more memory, then you can move over to the memory optimized ones, and these things come in a variety of different compute sizes too. So anywhere on this one from like 16 gig of memory all the way up to, what's our biggest, 432 gig of memory, which is quite a lot of memory and costs quite a bit of money. And then same sort of ideas on these general purpose ones as well. So let's provision something is a reasonable size, say 256 gig of memory. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, I don't think, to have 256 gig of memory, but only 120 gigabyte of storage. So let's crank that up a little bit here too. That's really cheap to change. The memory size.
I don't even see where it's changing.
Yeah, it's slightly. So that's 5,397, and now
Oh,
5,360. So anyway, we'll leave that at 512
Cool.
here. And you can enable high availability for like zone redundant or just single zone redundancy, and then you can set it to have geo redundancy as well, and we can just set a backup period on this too, so that's always nice to have here. I'm not going to set that geo redundant for now. Okay, we'll save this and we'll make sure to set up a username, which is mine, and some random password, which apparently does not match. That's unfortunate. I wonder which one I messed up. Let's bet it's this one. It was not. Or maybe I screwed up both of them. Goodness, why can I not do this? Alright, typing. Just fabulous today.
Typing in the password is the hardest part of this, then
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good.
Like 8 times I had to set that. Okay, and then up here we're going to make sure we set the server name here. Cool server. And these are globally unique names. Good. That one is unique, which is surprising. Nobody else out there is using a cool server. Okay, so we can flip over to networking here. So this has the options of doing public or private access on a VNet. You can do that. We'll leave ours as public, and we will allow Azure services to attach to it too. And I'm just going to add my current IP address to it as well. Oh, now everybody can see my IP address. That's good. I don't think that means anything in this day and age. All right. So we'll just leave this using the server managed key. In a real configuration, you would want to put some tags in there. We'll just skip over that. Oops. And we'll just hit validate and create that. Okay, so that is going to provision $5,000 a month worth of Postgres for me that I'm hopefully going to remember to deprovision after this recording. This is going to take 5 or 6 minutes, so instead of making you sit through that, we can just hop over here to one that I provisioned earlier. So this one is scaled to a much more reasonable size. So this is just 2 vCores, 8 gigabytes of memory. This would be good for fairly small workloads, I think. Only 8 gigabytes of memory doesn't feel like a lot to me.
There's a lot of apps that would be fine with that, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, you always have to try these things out and figure out what scale they need to be. So within this server, you can provision multiple databases. So I have a couple provisioned here, Postgres, an example. You can connect to that just here. So this just provides you like a Postgres command line interface. You can select everything from tables in there. You can use Postgres's kind of confusing and difficult to remember / commands to list tables or databases or those sorts of things. So this is a way of accessing the database. I personally would prefer something like pgadmin. So this just connects nicely because I firewalled or opened the firewall for my local machine. I'm able to connect into this and run queries and take a look at all the configurations within here. So the nice thing about this version of Postgres that they have provisioned for us is that it comes with some of the Postgres extensions, particular the one that is related to time series databases that's supported here. So that is a really useful one if you're gathering a bunch of data points from like IoT sensors or those sorts of things, and you want to have a timeline and be able to run quick queries for things like, give me the rolling average between this point in time and this point in time. But Other than that, I mean, it is a full-featured, useful database, and if you have written your application based on Postgres, this is a really good option for hosting on Azure, where you don't have to manage your own servers very much.
That's always the goal, isn't it?
It is for me.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of managing servers, and most of the clients that I deal with are not super skilled at managing their own servers, so I try and keep them focused on what their business requirements are, as opposed to managing a bunch of servers, which is much better done by a tool. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, Simon, for walking us through this. Although I do question your choice in sausage flavors.
Yeah, mint. Probably not a good sausage flavor. I cannot imagine
I just
that.
can't see that working out.
Yeah.
But thanks, everyone, for joining. And remember to like, comment, and share. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.